letting them know what they have to take for the test, and then make sure their qualifications are there as well. I feel that the qualifications becoming a master plumber or a journeyman, more master though, is that, you know, it's very important that you meet all those qualifications to make sure the standard of the work is upheld in the city. That I definitely think. Communication between the codes and the board sometimes I think lacks a little bit. I mean, Jay's wonderful with us, and he's there at every meeting, and he really does. He does his best, but I think some of the trades board actually in a whole could probably be a little more communicate a little better with.
Could you elaborate on that?
I just feel like the only person we ever see is Jay. Now, we're a very small board. We understand that, you know, but it would be nice if, you know, if there is other, you know, if the city is gonna be looking in a different direction in codes, you know, come and say something to us, you know, like, hey, listen, what do you guys think about this? Because we are the feet on the ground in the city. We see the most of the work and what's happening out there. And the quality of it or lack of thereof.
Okay, thank you. I'll pass it along to my other counselors.
All right, Chad, thanks for seeking reappointment to the plumbing board. My first question is, what issues has the board considered during your term, and did those issues, have they been resolved, or are they still ongoing?
Actually, we've been pretty good, I think, really well, mostly with like new people want to implement new product into the city. You know, the city's over 100 years old, obviously, so you know a lot of the plumbing is old, but it can only be still used that way because of grounding as far as wiring and, you know, as far as using copper instead of PAX and those kind of things and that. So a lot of people come to, or companies come to us and say, what do you think about our product? Do you think that's, you know, will it work in the city? And we guide them pretty much in the direction we feel that is the best for the city, actually for safety more than anything. That's the biggest thing. But yeah, I don't think there's really anything that's outstanding, except that I guess Chris and Abdul, or want to change the criteria for inspectors to make them half the amount of time that we used to be. I think that's a serious problem that we should look at. I don't think. When I said no, you were all at the meeting when I was there, and I made a statement that they want to change the criteria to becoming a plumbing inspector to 5 years of practical experience. Now, 5 years, it takes 4 years to get your journeyman's license. So you're gonna, if you want to take that down to 5 years, you're telling me it's a 1 year journeyman. First year journeyman is going to be able to inspect work done by other plumbers. You have to work under a master plumber for at least 2 years before you're even allowed to take the test. So to downgrade that to only 5 years by cutting it in half, I think is a serious. I don't think that's good at all, and that has not been.
What's the reasoning for that?
I think it's just because they want to try to get. It seems to me they want to do, they're not the first set of people that try to do this in the city. They want to try to get more inspectors. So what they do is they give like if you go to boroughs and townships, they'll let them take a ICC test. That's all it is it's 50 questions. Then if you pass them, they give you an inspector's license. There you go. But they don't need practical experience. So just because you can pass the test doesn't mean you really know what you're looking at. So that's what I think they're trying to do. Because that way they can broaden out more and, you know, have more inspectors out there instead of hiring more inspectors. When I was first started this trade, there used to be 3, then it went down to 2, and now it's just 1, and just in the plumbing field. So, I mean, and I understand costs are immense, but yeah.
So you're saying, even though making, I guess, the requirements easier to become a plumber, it's like we'll have more, but
They won't be quality.
They still won't be as qualified
Exactly.
as someone who goes through a longer process.
That's exactly right. You can't possibly know as much. Yeah, obviously someone who's been in the field for 5 years can't know as much as someone who's been in the field for 10 years. And we find in the trade more and more that you get more gauge watchers and you get actual inspectors, which I'm saying if you want to put a test on something, you put a gauge on it. A lot of times, like if you go to a borough or, you know, something like that out in the sticks, You do your plumbing and they make you put a water test on it. So it's, you throw a gauge on, you fill everything full of water, you watch the gauge. If the gauge doesn't budge for 5 minutes or whatever you're testing, then you pass. But they didn't actually walk around and look at what kind of venting you did. Did you have a circuit vent? Did you have a loop vent? Did you have a wet vent? And could you use that vent or the style of plumbing in that situation? That's where I think it lacks a lot.
And would you say, you feel like the quality of work has, I guess, decreased in a sense because?
I think,
Or-
well,
I guess they haven't, implemented the new requirements yet, but are you saying?
we're getting close though. They're a lot better than we were. Remember, I think the 2015 code now, I believe, we were at the 2006 for a long time. So at least we're testing on the right one now. I think it's just more that you have too many handymen who think they know what they're doing and they're going out and doing work, not pulling permits. So I think there have to be a little more, but like I said, you only have one plumbing inspector out there looking around and stuff. I think if you had some of the other, the inspectors that just do, make sure the home inspections kind of thing, if they keep their eyes open and report more, I think that would help a ton for the city as a whole, to make the quality of work go up. Because really, legitimately, you're supposed to have either a lettered van or a number on your van, your master plumber's number on the side of your van. There's a lot of trucks and vans out there without
That
that one.
doesn't happen.
No, exactly,
Know that.
yeah.
That was my only, question.
Like,
So Chad, as a reappointment, if there was to be an opening, which I know there isn't on the board, what would be your advice for a new applicant that would like to join the board?
I think our biggest goal is, and I think our biggest job is, as the board, is to maintain the health and welfare of the city. That is, the plumber protects the health and welfare of the country. That's been sold, for years. So that's what you have to look at. You gotta look at not only, you can't look at dollars and cents. The matter of money should never come into one of our meetings. Everything should be about safety. And that's what you should be guiding your views on, your principles are.
Have any other questions? Actually, you're very forthright with your information.
Thank you.
We all appreciate that. Did you have any questions for us?
No, this is my 17th year at this. I'm pretty much got it down. Thank you for having me.
All right, Shelley will explain the remainder of the process, although you're probably familiar with that too, but we'll still do it as a formality. So,
Sure, so, once the interviews are done today, there are 3 people, the committee will determine whether you are put forward next week for council reappointment, and then you'll hear from the office, you'll get that
Right.
congratulatory letter with all the paperwork, and you'll hear from us again.
Very good.
All right,
Thank you very much.
good, thank you, thank you for coming in.
You bet.
Next applicant, when are they scheduled?
4:15.
Okay, so we're right on time. I'll just check to make sure they're not out here. Come on in. It's your turn. How are you? Okay. Have a seat.
Hi, welcome.
Okay, Gary, welcome to the nominations committee. The process is we will ask you a couple questions. And then when we're through, and we'll take turns. I know you're familiar with me, you may not be familiar with Counselor Vanessa Campos from District 1, and you should know Wes Butler, right, since he's in your district. We'll all take turns asking questions, and then when we're done, if you have any questions for us, we'll be happy to answer anything. So, this is an appointment. You've never served on the library board, correct?
Not on the library board. I served on the charter board
Saw that.
and the parking authority.
Yeah, we get a little overview of your background. It shows that you obviously given of your time over the years to different committees, which is great. But let me just ask you what's your reasoning for wanting to be involved with the library?
Well, I've always admired libraries and librarians. You have to excuse my voice. And as you might know, my wife Ann
Sure.
works part-time. Why
Why missing, right.
I just dropped her off there. And so I'm aware of all the things that libraries get involved in within the community, which I think right now is probably more important than ever. You know, AI and all that. How to identify whether information is real or bogus. These are things that libraries are naturally set up and oriented to do.
The Reading Library is interesting only because they come and give us reports on what they're doing, and they have expanded so much in their services. It's really a wonderful entity in the city. But my second question, and then I'm gonna pass it to the other counselors. You feel you're okay with the time that you would need to spend and the time for their meetings?
Oh, sure, I'm retired,
Okay,
you know, so
good,
my time is anybody's,
good,
who can use it.
good. All right, that's all I have. I'm gonna pass it down the line.
You're good. So one of the questions I have, Jerry. What are some programs can you describe some programs that the library offers that you know about?
Well, I haven't really studied yet, you know, up to now, but I would expect the children's programs would be especially important. I don't know how many children's librarians the library has, must have at least one, right? So I think those are important things to get kids involved in reading and research and information at very young ages. I think is pretty critical. If you want to throw out a couple names of programs you have, I might, you know, be able to comment on them, but I can't pull them out of the top of my head right now.
Okay. I know here you answered in the questions that the primary purpose of the board is to ensure access to information in all media to citizens at Reading and New Cross. Great, to provide guidance and help citizens in finding relevant information. How do you think the board can best ensure access to information?
By not withholding access to information for anybody or any information. Has some pretty strong feelings about book banning, you know, even restriction of books. So in Chicago, the other night, we saw Academy Award nominated short documentary on book banning. And the informants in the documentary were all 9 and 10-year-old kids. Talking about what it meant to them to be able to read whatever they want to read and learn about things they want to learn about. My own experience, that somebody who read from when I was a little kid, is that if a kid is reading something that's not appropriate for them, they're not going to get it anyway. Where was this? What am I answering?
You did.
Yes, you can go.
Yeah, I just have one question, and It is, do you believe that there should be a library tax that will provide a steady stream of income? Steady stream of funding, not income, for the library?
I would certainly, yeah, be interested in that, and probably support it. Because I think, I've heard the arguments made by people in Berks County that their local libraries have county. And commissioners say, I don't think we should, the library, nobody I know uses it. So why should they have to pay money? Well, it's like paying school taxes. You don't pay school taxes because your kids get educated. Pay school taxes so you don't live in a society with a lot of stupid people. And it's the same thing, I think, with the library.
Thank you.
And an important question, have you ever been in the library?
Have I ever been in the library?
In the library, any of them?
Yeah, no, sure.
Okay.
I have
That's
used
important.
the interlibrary loan system.
So, my other question is, if you do get on this board, are you gonna compare notes with your wife about the Reading Library and the Wyomissing Library?
I will not divulge.
I'm sure it wouldn't be a problem.
I will say my grandkids, they're growing up. They all live in Wyomissing, but they preferred the Reading Library, which was grandpa's library. Because it has all those neat steps.
Right. It's a Carnegie Library. Did you have any questions for us?
I get not real, what is the term on this, state?
That we don't know. 4 or 5.
It is a 5 years.
5-year term.
5 years.
And when would you expect to have the decision?
Next week.
Yeah, so the committee will discuss your placement after the interviews are over this evening, and if they choose to move your appointment forward, it would be on Monday next week.
Okay, I'll be notified of that.
Yes.
One more than the other.
Correct.
Yes.
Really, nothing other than that.
Okay, well, thank you for coming in, and we'll continue at the meeting. After we're done, we'll deliberate about the 3 applicants that appeared tonight, and then we'll let you know.
Okay, thank you very much.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Jerry, would you do me a favor, when you go out, the woman that is next, could you just let her know she can come in? It's a pretty cool cane.
Yeah.
See,
Sorry, I did not know it was an open room like this.
It's okay. Welcome. Thank you for coming.
welcome.
Thank you.
I know I don't need to introduce myself. I've known you since the days that you volunteered at the museum, but
Correct.
in addition to myself, this is your counselor, Vanessa Campos,
Hi, Vanessa.
for District 1.
Nice to meet you.
So if you have any problems, this is.
I will
the
go
person.
right to
You go to
Vanessa.
him first and then we
No,
have.
no, she's in her district. And next to Vanessa is Wesley Butler from District 4.
Okay.
The process is we all take turns asking questions to make sure that you're the right person for the board that you're applying for.
Okay.
And when we're done, you can ask any questions of us, okay? So, I know a little bit about your background. I know that you and your husband had a construction company for
38 years.
right, okay. So, I mean, obviously that plays into this particular committee, but what do you feel in addition to that, that you can bring to this particular committee?
Well, I think that with my construction background, and I'm now working part-time as a project manager for Seattle Construction. So I see, you know, houses, homes and properties in good repair and in bad repair. And I just think with all my years of experience that I would definitely be an asset to this committee. I'd be able to see, you know, this is not worth saving, this can't be saved, or I can say, oh, this has great potential, you know, it can be saved. We can do this and that, and it's not, and I know the cost of things. I just have a lot of knowledge about construction, property, light commercial. I've never done heavy duty commercial, but light commercial and residential since 1979. So, and my husband and I, we built homes, custom homes. We built homes on spec. We built custom homes. We've done additions, remodeling. I'm pretty well versed in construction. And I think that would be an important asset to have for this committee. I mean, you can't just walk in and say, oh, the house looks terrible. You should know exactly why and what it would take if it can in fact be rehabbed.
Okay, and my other question is only because I know you're also a realtor in addition to being
Yeah,
working for Seattle Construction.
correct.
Do you feel the time that would be required for meetings would be a conflict with your schedule?
I'm not exactly sure. That was going to be one of my questions. I had asked you a while ago and you said there were pre-meeting, there's the meetings, but then you have a meeting before that you actually get together.
Hearings.
The hearings, so it's 2 meetings 5 times a year.
It's 2 meetings quarterly.
Oh, 2 meetings quarterly.
Yeah, so the
Okay, so
hearings
they're
are the
paid.
first week of the month, and then the like the review meeting beforehand is the last week of the month. So it's 2 weeks in a row, but then you don't see that
Right.
it's, 3 months until you have to come back in.
So my question is, how do we actually, do you send out a sheet of, addresses and we together go and look at them, or we individually go look at them? How does that work?
Good question. We physically usually don't go to the property unless you want to do a drive-by, but the codes department will have an information packet along with photos of the property, so we
So
will
the
be.
code, right, okay, so then we do have actual pictures and
Yep.
info from the codes. Okay,
So back to your schedule.
back to my schedule. I don't know that it would be hard
Okay,
right now.
that answers the question. All right, I'm gonna pass this down the line. Okay.
What do you think would improve the quality of Reading's housing stock?
Grant money to people who don't have the money to keep their properties up. Because I live over in Oak Brook. I live on Brookline Plaza, and I walk the neighborhood a lot and I see, people are struggling to fix their sidewalks and to paint their homes, and they just don't have the money. And I'm friendly with a bunch of my neighbors, and I'm thinking these people are struggling to survive, day to day, and they can't repair their roof. The only good thing that we have going for us is when I bought my home there in 2015, it was right after the big hailstorm of May 22nd, 2014. I know that very well. But anyway,
So do I.
it was my son's 30th birthday and his party was ruined from the hail. But anyway, almost all those houses, like the BMW dealership and up through, were devastated, and a lot of people have new roofs and new siding and new windows, and they're lucky. But they still now, their sidewalks are going and the exteriors are needing painting and their awnings are, falling down. And I'm thinking these people need help. I think that would be the best thing that could happen.
Great answer, thank you.
My question for you, Anne, is what do you believe is the ultimate goal of the Blighted Property Review Committee?
The ultimate goal is to help get rid of blighted properties and make them nice properties, not blighted properties. And if that can't be, is to make them go away, I would think.
Thank you.
I just want to say, I think, because I sit on the blighted property committee. In the beginning, I thought it would just be properties that are vacant, that are at the point of no return, but that's not necessarily the case. There are people who, exactly what you said, they just need some guidance of how to deal with some issues before it gets to the point that it's
Right.
the point of no return. So, in addition to the properties that are so far gone, like, how do you deal with it? It's the properties that are just starting to become blighted and how to reverse the process. So that was really great that you said that, because that's part of the committee too. So I think that's important.
Well, I know in West Reading, this is a long time ago, they used to have where you could get grants to help the exteriors of your home. I don't know if Reading has anything like that,
Some,
but I think that that should be very well funded. I mean, to me, the architecture in Reading is stunning. And I always loved it since I was a little kid and used to come into Reading. Back, I'm old enough that Reading was thriving when I was young, and it was the place to be. Everybody got on a bus and got here at Fifth and Penn on a Saturday and just played all day and went up to City Park. And I mean, I'm talking when I was in 7th grade on, when I was able to get in here on my own. But anyway, I've always loved the architecture, and I just think that, I mean, it could be stunning.
any other questions from the committee? Did you have any other questions for us?
No, but how would we get more grant money to help people with at least their exteriors of their home?
That's a good question. There are some programs now, but the funding is so limited compared to the volume of properties. There's a program for sidewalks. There's actually, we just started this conversation that there's a program for facades that I don't know what's happening with it. It's just sort of sitting there. So these conversations need to be brought up and discussed. I think right now, as far as the blighted property committee, there are a lot of conversations that are happening. Not just about the properties that are occupied and how to help the homeowners, but for the
Right.
properties that are at that point where they need to go to the redevelopment authority, how do we expedite that to make things move quicker? Because the number of blighted properties isn't getting less, it's growing. So there's a lot of conversations that need to be started, and there are a lot of conversations that are in the works. So it's an important time right now for these committees.
I have a question about absentee landlords. I mean, do you see the blighted properties as a lot of absentee landlords? I mean, I don't know what the makeup is.
It's a mix.
It's a mix. So it's people who still live there, but vacant. I mean, what is
It's
the,
LLCs, it's absentee landlords, it's people who buy properties and can afford to buy them, but not necessarily have the funds to renovate them. There's a lot of stories, In fact, in addition to light, the obvious of the building, it's also properties can come before the blighted property committee for back taxes, back water bills. So there's a lot.
I have a blighted property right on the end of my block. It's very bad. And
They're everywhere,
they're everywhere.
every neighborhood.
Mhm. And yet I have some beautiful properties. I love where I live. I love my new neighborhood and all the people in it, and I'm happy. I want to give back to Reading, do something.
Okay.
Thank you.
Shelley, do you want to explain how the process goes from the interview to the next step?
Sure, so at this point for blighted property, there are 2 vacancies and we have 3 applicants.
Okay,
So after all 3 of them have been interviewed, you're the second one, there's 1 more yet. Then the committee will determine which 2 move forward. So probably mid-March, you'll hear from me again with, whether or not you are one of the applicants that would move forward.
okay, and then what happens if I'm a lucky one?
If you're a lucky one, then you're on board.
Yeah, council
okay.
will, appoint you by resolution at one of their voting meetings. You'll get a packet of information from us with the next steps that you need to do, and then we'll, the city clerk is the one who's staffed to the blighted property review committee, and so she'll get your contact information and she'll get you up to speed with what's going on.
Okay, that's Linda, right?
Yep.
Okay. All
Okay, thank you for coming in.
right. Is that it?
Yeah. A pleasure to meet you.
Very nice to meet you. I'm glad that I did vote for you.
Thank you.
Didn't
No
vote for
buttering up allowed.
me. No, I would definitely not vote for no. Thank you.
Good night. Okay, I'm gonna leave. I don't know if you wanna continue or,
Yeah, the only thing, well, we have to determine, Chad and Jerry are moving forward,
okay,
and then whatever other, I don't have anything specific, so if there's anything else the committee wants to talk about.
okay. I have to go to another meeting, but before I go, just my thoughts on the 2 applicants. Obviously Chad with his 17 years, there's something to be said for a history of being on the board. And he was very forthright with his thoughts
Right.
on what worked and what didn't, so I'm in favor of him. And Jerry, I think, is a good candidate, and I'm trying to think of a nice way to say this, but I'm just gonna say it, and that's that it's important to remember that, even though we talked about like, kids, I really think he could play an important part of, seniors. And just as the library mentioned how they started the program about teaching seniors how to use technology.
That's the response we're looking for, like more of how we can bring that in, because the seniors need that.
I
At
think
least
that's
the
a-
children will be
Yeah.
good.
I think he felt he was caught on the spot, but obviously,
And
you
it was
know,
part of the questions too, like that's the good questions, if you know, probably could have reworded differently, but I was looking for that, like senior,
when he came in, I thought, you know what, when you said you were retired, like, there's a whole population in Reading that is just like you, that the library is a really, really good, I keep saying libraries, because we have 3, an asset to the senior population, so, you know, he may not realize it yet, but it's sort of a natural. So those are my thoughts.
I agree the same. I think I was thinking more for the senior for Jerry. I like his background of being in boards before, so that speaks to his involvement. And I'm always curious, like why he left it, like what are your thoughts about it? But we're talking about the library, so yeah, we could definitely use him. And then Chad, of course, his years and the appointment, it's valuable.
I like Chad's experience and I think he should move along. Jerry, like you said, for senior citizens, I feel like he can play a huge role in that. So.
Okay. So we're all in agreement.
So my other question, Shelley, Andrew Boyd is the next one for blighted property. Do we have him scheduled out?
So, the day after we do these meetings, so that I make sure that everyone who's scheduled today is able to make it, then I start the next batch. So he's at the top of my list to contact tomorrow, to get on the next meeting schedule.
So will we deliberate who's going, because that's a big deal, like who's gonna get picked after Andrew that day, or they'll be in the following week?
That would be up to you. If you all are comfortable and remember who said what, you can do it right away then at the next meeting.
That's what I was thinking, like, we need to
And
guide.
as a part of what I can add to the shared drive for the next meeting is the summaries of what the other two, when you did those interviews, so that you can
Right.
see everybody's, the prior candidates while you're interviewing the third person, so that everybody's fresh.
I appreciate Anne's realtor experience, that just to be, this is the background, this is the board that can connect, so you can use that knowledge, just, help out. So it made me think, okay, what did the other candidates, I'm like, I need to refresh by the time we get to
Sure.
Andrew.
3 weeks.
Right,
So thank you for that, that's all my questions.
I need to leave.
All right.
I will see you.
Later, yes.
Yeah.
Will do.
anything else?
What's this commission membership?
Oh, this is,
Oh,
that's the listing that I give you. Behind all the interview sheets, there is the pending applications memo, just so that you all know what I have in the queue. You don't have to open it up, that's an email I'll get. And who will be moving forward through the process. The one that looks like the first one that looks like a square grid. That's kind of, will tell you how many members are on all of those boards, whether they're full or have openings, and if there are any applications pending, so it's the same information that looks different. And then the last piece that starts off with board members, electrical examining board, that's the master list of all of the boards and all of the current members and all of the vacancies. So that way, it's 3 different ways for you to see the same kind of information, just depending on what you prefer, how you prefer to look at it. So I include those each time so you can see progress, and just in case you have any questions about anything that's happening.
thank you.
You're welcome. So it says February 20th, is that today's date?
Yep.
Okay, so these were, I can't even keep track of it. So these are as of February 20th, the pending, the openings, this is all accurate, right?
That's accurate as of Thursday last week. So since that went out, I've gotten 2 more applications that are not on there yet. So it's as updated can be. I have
Okay.
another one for the Board of Health. Let me just double check what's missing. The Animal Control Board, I have an applicant for. And there's another one that just came.
We have 5 for the animal control board, just 5 openings, okay. What was the one you said before that? You said.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember what the other one was. Shade Tree has one pending.
So that will leave it to 1 more opening.
The O&E Pension Board has an application pending, which I'm not sure I even include them on here because they're kind of different.
Okay.
But those 2 new ones, they'll appear at on the next sheet
Right.
in March.
And then these are still waiting to get updated. These charts, you said started electricians.
Those are up,
I'm seeing them updated already. like
yeah,
this
those are
year.
updated the day after you do your regular voting meetings.
Yes.
So I update those right away the next morning
And
and then
when
get the website updated right away so that they're as current. I try to keep everything as current as possible.
Yes, and I see application pendings and then the resignations that they resigned,
Yes.
so those are helpful. And when it says letters sent, that means the letter that you sent to letting them know.
Yep, so 2 months before their term expires, we have a form letter that I send out reminding them that their term is coming up. And sending a new application form so that they can come in for reappointment, or we ask them if they're not interested to call the office, so we know we need to.
Open it up for you.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, thank you for all of this, sharing our information. You're welcome. I have no other questions, so do we move to adjourn? Up to you, unless you have questions left.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, meeting adjourned.